Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I feel like it's been a bit of a hiatus, so we'll see how this goes. Trying to play around with some of these settings on this Streamlabs software. So look, I'm still live, obviously. A couple of things. First of all, I had all these lofty things planned for the start of the year or the end of the year, and then I ended up getting the flu, so I was knocked out for easily a year. Maybe not a year, sorry, for the end of the year and the start of the year. So bedridden and whatnot. So my voice is shot. We'll see how long I can keep talking. Um, and that's pretty much it. So we'll see how things go. But for the moment, this is kind of the relaunch of the rundown. Now it's not on Monday. It is going on what day today? Sunday night. You can also tell the setting is a little bit different. I had to go away for work, so I'm in a hotel right now for a corporate retreat. So that's why things are a little bit different than the usual, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So, look, some of this you've probably already discussed in depth with a lot of people, right? I highly recommend you check out Fab's Figures channel, right? He's got awesome reviews and he's been doing tons of streams covering a lot of these releases and these announcements. So just check him out as well. But yeah, I wanted to kind of give you my 2 cents on a couple of things going on as well. And just go from there. So there's a lot to go over. Hopefully I won't keep you too long, but let's get going. And we'll start with, I'm trying to think where to start, right? Because there's a couple of news things worth discussing, but let's go into releases, right? Because that was pretty exciting. It was a pretty exciting way to start the year. So taking a look at releases, where should we start? Because Hot Toys basically decided to kill us with a bunch of things. So I'm pulling up a couple of images because, like I said, there's a lot, and I'm catching up. I'm going to try not to bore you too much, but I'm going to start kind of in order of excitement with some of these. Surprisingly, I'm going to start with the Supergirl from the Flash movie. Now, not a figure, or a figure that was definitely caught up in a little bit of controversy. It was a figure that the sculpt was definitely something that fans and collectors overall were very concerned about. I agree with it too. It definitely wasn't up to snuff, but it's nice to see that Hot Toys went back and basically did what they've been doing lately, which is they've been trying to fix up sculpts, and this turned out great. Whether or not you're excited about this figure, I think partly depends on what you thought about the movie. When it comes to my superhero collecting, I've definitely started to become a little bit more independent of the properties, which isn't the norm for me. Normally, I will try to collect figures based more on how should we put it, my connection to that property itself. If I like the movie, if I like the TV show, then I tend to want to do that. But for a movie like The Flash, which, listen, it was entertaining. Was it the best movie out there? I don't necessarily think it was. But sorry, I'm checking the I'm trying, so I'm getting new to this, so I'm trying to see if the chat works. So how do I respond to the chat, or how do we even show it? Oh, there you go. There you go. I'm starting to figure it out. This is live. I am live. I'm trying to do this for the first time to see how it's going. So, yeah, it'll be my first live stream ever. We'll see if it actually works out. But yeah, going back to the Supergirl figure, obviously, I'm pretty excited about this one. This is one that I've had on order for a while now. And look, I personally do think she turned out great. I think Hot Toys did a great job basically updating the sculpt. Again, I thought that this version of Supergirl was actually pretty exciting. I thought she wasn't definitely the norm or the like, but Pretty interesting release from Hot Toys. They went way deep in the Flash, although we did get that cancellation of the Barry Allen, the young Barry figure. But look, this one I think is great, and the bloggers actually have a picture of her standing next to the Henry Cavill Superman, which I thought was pretty much my inclination how I want to display this, right? So when it comes to the Flash, I was always excited about this. And look, I know James Gunn is doing his own Supergirl. I'm I'm honest. If I'm being honest, I'm not completely sold on the James Gunn universe yet. I'll give it a chance. I think he's shown himself to do some decent things, some wacky things, but some decent things. So I'm curious to see how his Supergirl develops. But listen, we're as we saw in the end of the movie, there's a multiverse of universes right in the Flash. So somewhere this version of the Supergirl still exists. So I don't mind having multiple in the collection because that we're going to end up getting another Supergirl from that James Gunn movie. So look, again, turned out great. One of a ton of figures that ended up getting released by Hot Toys. Right. So going back to continuing on with the releases and actually continuing on with the Flash, actually, Hot Toys had a lot more going for them too. Listen, I'm not as good as some of you guys with this, but then we got this beauty over here. We got Old Man Keaton, right? This one, I originally thought that they had probably over detailed the sculpt a little bit, but in hand, or at least with the blogger pics, this looks pretty phenomenal. And I like the suit, right? I like that it's very much in keeping with that Keaton style bat suit, but just different enough. Very, I mean, it is a modern take on the suit, right? So I'm very excited to get this in hand too. I know it's already started releasing. Surprisingly, the sculpt actually turned out awesome. So I'm curious as to how I'm going to choose to display this one. Frankly, um, the cowl makes sense for Batman, but that unmasked sculpt just looks great, right? Hot Toys nailed it with this Keaton likeness. But then again, the cowl again, and even the mouthpieces all look phenomenal here. So there's something to be said about that when Hot Toys hits you with two different releases. So two different sculpts or portraits that look so good. This is where people start thinking about collecting multiples. I myself just can't do it, right, from a space perspective point of view. But this, I think, aesthetically looks great, right? I am curious how the suit is going to hold up in hand because it does look like that rubber suit that may not lend itself to the best amount of posability. But yeah. So again, excited. This look though, the expression with the smiling faceplate, for some reason that is very, very appealing to me. So hold on, let me go back to the chat because Fabs, I had no idea, man. I'm away for work and I was like, let me play around with this stuff, and then I just hit the streaming thing. No, it wasn't being secretive. I just figured I'd try it. Who knows? I don't know if it's going to become a regular thing, but I think it'll be worth trying, right? So who knows? We'll see. Thule, I'm telling you, man. Um, I think my intent is we're starting to build up the community, right? This is going to be I'm gonna be in partnership with Fabs there, participating on the streams. When I do come back, if the brand DeLorean is ever watching, I'm not abandoning Fabs ever. So it'll be just this was my opportunity to kind of come back and talk about some of these. I usually do the pre-recorded videos, but today I was like, what the hell? Let me try. So yeah, so we'll keep going, right? So the Batman, awesome figure. Not the only one though. Again, right? All of a sudden, Hot Toys decided to go crazy at the end of the year, and I'm going to tell you the one that really surprised me because I had no interest in this, and now this is the one where I'm kind of hitting myself for not pre-ordering because I didn't pre-order this. Right? I'm thinking I thought I'm going to get him in the secondary market. It's going to be cheaper, and I'm actually surprised at how good this looked. Now, I know the faceplate. I'm with you guys. This was not Ben Affleck, right? Now, the rumor is too that and I read this, so I have to give credit to someone, I just don't know who, but that the reason we didn't get the Ben Affleck likeness is that at the time that they started filming the movie, Ben Affleck hadn't been signed on, so Hot Toys and all the companies were basically creating figures based on the likeness of his stunt double. Um, whether that's true or not, who knows? Hot Toys did another good thing here, where they basically told us um, you can use the Batman 2.0 face sculpts with this figure to create a more accurate looking Batfleck. I know a lot of people didn't like the suit. Now, what I did like is this is kind of going back to that traditional gray and blue suit from the comics. So I thought that was pretty cool. The mechanical parts of it, the armored elements, it's almost like he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, right? He's riding a bike, so I don't mind that, and it's different. I appreciate when the figures are different enough. I thought the scene in the movie was pretty entertaining, and this is growing on me, right? The whole bat cycle thing is growing on me. So when it comes to collecting, I think I could still get it. I'm on the wait list at Sideshow, but there are other places where you can get this. I think it actually turned out great. I think the look of the cycle itself, it's very sleek. It's a little heavy duty, and I actually like the battering ram accessory that was added in. Um, for me, this is a figure. I've seen people pick up the figure itself. I think the figure looks great, but it really is something that benefits from being a two pack and having him on the bike. I think that's really how this kind of works well. So, right, 3 figures that basically Hot Toys dropped from the Flash as they were kind of heading towards the end of the year. So they really killed it. They really did do a great job with this one. Um, so let me say hi to a couple of people too. Uh, wow, I'm glad you guys are joining. Sean, thanks for joining. This is a first, so I'm not as good as Fabs is on this one. Um, I know. I was surprised. Faz was the first one here, so I'm glad to see a lot of you guys coming over from the group. Um, I will preface this also by saying that unfortunately, because I'm stuck here in this wonderful setting, I'm going to be traveling on Tuesday. So even though Fabs is going to say that I'm quitting six scale collecting, I will not be quitting. But I'll hopefully make it on the stream the following week. So just stay tuned for that. And then, yeah, I love the suit. I think it's a great way to end the Batfleck performance too. I agree. Where there's some hokey dialogue, there was, but it was a great action sequence, right? And it was a little over the top. It was great to see Batman in a different setting. Rumor was he was supposed to show up in Aquaman 2, and then James Gunn basically nixed that whole thing. So we might have gotten one more performance. And then just like Keaton, right? There was that Batgirl movie that was filmed that ended up getting shelved. So there's some footage somewhere of Michael Keaton's Batman in that modern suit that hopefully one day we'll be able to see, because I think that pretty much turns out great. So let's see. Keeping on with the releases, that was the Flash, right? So we got a ton of those. What else? We ended up getting this beauty really quickly, Venom. All right, this is the video game Venom. So look, this thing is massive. This thing is amazing. I skipped this one. I have a ton of Venoms already, but just the video game stuff, I'm trying to draw a line somewhere. Look, I think this is a common problem a lot of us collectors have too, right? Where we're basically we want everything, right? I know I want everything. I look at things and I think they look cool, even if they're from properties that I'm not crazy about, right? This Venom looks awesome. He's massive, right? I want to try to find a picture of him next to the Miles Morales. I mean, he towers over him. I didn't play the video game, so I'm guessing this is true to scale for the game. Hot Toys did a killer job with this guy as well. Um, you know, if you're looking for the cinematic versions, right, you can still find them. You can still find the Tom Hardy versions, the Carnage. Those are great figures, right? We know that we're getting the comic book version Venom, which is actually a little bit smaller. But if you're looking for a centerpiece type figure, this looks phenomenal, right? And if you're a fan of the video game, look, I had to justify not getting this, right? Because it's so good. So Hot Toys again, right? When it comes to releases, they're just really killing it. And they're just really doing some awesome things here. And that was just the way they kind of ended the year, right? They hit us with a bunch of releases that we were kind of excited about and we'd been expecting for a while. And now, unfortunately, it's the waiting game, right? Now we're all waiting for those invoices to drop. So of the figures we were looking at, right? I'm trying to get that Bat Cycle and Batfleck figure. So that's going to be an interesting invoice when I do get it and wherever I decide to get it. But the Supergirl, right? The Modern Suit Batman, those are all figures that are coming home at this point. So very exciting to kind of get those in hand as well. So, um, Venom again, very cool. Again, for me, it's just as cool as these are. You can't collect everything, and I feel like that's at least the way I kind of approach things. I'd love to, right? I keep on playing the lotto, hoping that I'm going to win one day. But there's space constraints and everything, but it doesn't take away from how nice this looks. Um, so now, you know what? Let's jump into announcements because this is where I'm going to get really excited, and this is where um, I think uh, I'm going to start with my favorite of the announcements, which was one that I was hoping for. Maybe I was the only one hoping for it, but obviously, Human Torch. Now we'll get into the controversial bits of this, right? But Human Torch, I always figured that there was just no way that Hot Toys was going to pass on this, right? Um, at this point, it was basically Hot Toys is going into the variants, right? We're gonna get into Nice Pool too, right? They teased the four different rebels. We already got X-23 up for pre-order. We have a tease for Blade that we're gonna look at in a little bit. We also got a tease for Elektra and Gambit. So if they were going that deep in the line, which makes sense given the success level of the movie, how could you pass on Human Torch? Especially because Hot Toys has done a ton of Chris Evans figures, tons of Captain Americas, right? We're even getting that Captain America 2.0 from the Winter Soldier. So it's clear that Hot Toys has no problem giving us Chris Evans, and Chris Evans has no problem giving the rights away to his likeness, which are probably tied to the movie. So while this was a cameo, right, it was an exciting cameo and one that I think I was very happy to see Hot Toys deliver. I just had a feeling that it was coming, right? And I have a feeling that this isn't the end of it, right? Those figures, Elektra and Gambit, are 100% coming. We know there's that 2.0 Deadpool with the exposed, the unmasked sculpt that includes the adamantium claws, the Wolverine claws. So no way is Hot Toys finished with this line. And I think the only question is how deep are they going to go? Now, Human Torch, I'm very excited about this. I know that a lot of people think this is garbage, right? I don't deny that one bit. And I think a lot of people think that the sculpt isn't up to par, which look, I'll agree with you on this one. I think that um let's try to see. I don't think the sculpt is 100% there, but I also don't think that Hot Toys has ever been able to hit Chris Evans 100%. For some reason, just like with Ant-Man and Paul Rudd, it feels like even though they've done this sculpt repeatedly, or a version of Chris Evans, Hot Toys just cannot hit this. So, listen, am I surprised that this is not 100% there? I can't say I am. I think there's an opportunity for this to get fixed, right? We saw after the outcry with the Obi-Wan Kenobi that that was fixed, that we ended up getting probably one of the best Obi-Wan sculpts we've gotten to date. Um, JC Hong did have the pictures up for this figure, and then he took them down. So I think there are a lot of indicators that this is going to get fixed. For me, I would have been satisfied with this, right? Even though it's probably at like 90%, 90, let's say 90%, right? I think it's an older Chris Evans. He's dirty from being in the void, right? So I would have accepted this. And look, he's not a complex figure, right? He's got the simple suit. He's got this poncho, which is basically a piece of fabric, right? For me, it's this. Something like this really sold me on it. The effects are something that Hot Toys has been doing more and more of, and a lot of other companies have been, but Hot Toys in particular. And I think where they started looking a little fake, Hot Toys has really excelled and started making them look a little bit more real. And this look overall, just with the whirlwind of fire, I mean, it's Human Torch. Now we had gotten that third party, I think it's Premier Toys version. Um, and I had when we were talking about this with Fab's figures, right? Fabs and I were talking about it. One of the things that came up was, why are they doing that figure now? And of course, there was a cameo then in the movie, but I always had a sense that maybe Hot Toys was gonna do it. Now, I do think this is the better figure by far, right, from the proportions on the body. Granted, the one that Premier Toys did was based on the actual Fantastic Four movies. This is now based on his appearance in the Deadpool movie, Deadpool and Wolverine. So it's exciting. It's a simple figure, right? Like the pants, and look, that was part of the joke, right? This looks very much like Captain America. So it's not something that's new to Hot Toys at all. The only new thing you're getting here is this poncho and then the Fantastic Four shirt, which I'm trying to get a close up look of that one, right? I mean, look, this is a pretty simple, shirt with just a couple of piping details, and then obviously the Fantastic Four logo on the chest. So not complicated. He's a very simple figure overall. That's when you look at it, what is it that we're getting, right? You're getting obviously the Chris Evans sculpt. You're getting this poncho, this cloak, and then you're getting all the flame effects and a bunch of alternate hands. So very straightforward, very simple release. You're not getting a lot with this. So um, I don't think that's necessarily a negative. I don't know what else they could have included. Part of me would have thought, you could throw in a skinned version of him, but I don't know how that would have passed the censors or whatnot. But I guarantee you a third party company will do that at some point. Someone's going to get cheeky and decide that they're going to give us that version of Human Torch, which I may end up picking up because that was also pretty funny. But look, it all comes down to the sculpt. And I think I have every expectation that Hot Toys is going to fix this and improve on it. Why do I think that? I think this movie was a huge hit, right? As opposed to say the Paul Rudd sculpt, which right, that was not necessarily Hot Toys' best effort. And I think that Ant-Man figure benefits from having a masked option. I think this Chris Evans Human Torch is a much more popular character and got a lot more of a pop in the movie. I mean, besides Blade, he was the character in the movie that I had the most pop. So I think he's also somebody that Hot Toys is continuing to make, right? Expectations are he's going to be Chris Evans will return for the Avengers movies, potentially as Captain Hydra or some other, variant as part of the multiverse. So we're going to be getting a lot more Chris Evans, at least in the upcoming future. So Hot Toys has every reason to continue to try to improve this. But this was awesome. I was very excited to see this release. This was a day one pre-order for me. I know a lot of people don't feel that way, but again, I think don't sleep on this guy if you're even interested in the character, right? And I think you have to be interested in the character to really get him. But I think Hot Toys is definitely going to improve on him. And I think when people see the sculpt, I think that's when people are going to want to jump on this. So I got my order in, right? I'm happy with it. Very excited that Hot Toys decided to go this deep into the line. Again, I don't know how I'm going to display him. I'm going to look forward to because the poncho looks pretty good. The cloak actually looks pretty awesome. It looks very Mad Maxy, very apocalyptic. But these effect pieces are just there's something else, right? If you've gotten the Wenwu or the Shang-Chi, they definitely bring a little something extra to the figure. So very excited to get those. And I'll keep going for a little bit. Hopefully my voice doesn't go too much. Let's see if I missed any comments. No, I think we're good so far with comments. I'll get better at this if I do another live stream. Who knows? That all depends on a lot of things. But let's see. The other one that I wanted to talk to you guys about, which is also very exciting, and keeping in line with Deadpool and Wolverine. Let's see. I had a lot of tabs open, so I'm trying to find it. Is this beauty? Nice Pool. The only difference here is I thought Nice Pool would have been artisan because of the head sculpt and the hair. But look, if you're looking at variants from the movie, which variants stand out, right? For Deadpool, at least. Nice Pool, we already got Lady Pool, we got Kid Pool, right? Cowboy Pool is being made by a third-party company, which I did pre-order. Although, again, question is how deep is Hot Toys going to go into this, right? Are we going to end up getting a Hot Toys Cowboy Pool or a Wrexham Pool? Might be a little too deep, but then again, you look at properties like Ahsoka where we're getting tons of figures. I don't know that you can never underestimate what Hot Toys is going to do. But Nice Pool, of all the variants that we got from that movie, Nice Pool just made sense. And once we saw that clip of Ryan Reynolds unboxing the Deadpool with the exposed unmasked sculpt, I think that definitely made this nice pool much more of a reality. And now we're getting him right. Look, I think he looks awesome. He's a little bit different from your standard Deadpool, right? Or Deadpool Prime, as he calls himself. He's got all the gold trims, right? He's got the gold Desert Eagles, which we know that our Deadpool really covets. And then the armor is much cleaner, right? He's got those shiny armored plates on the chest and on the shoulder. Um, it's subtle, but it is different, right? And then he does have this dorky look, but if you look at the movie, that kind of goes in line with Nice Pool, right? So even though this is a little bizarre, it definitely goes in line with at least this version of the character. Now, very simple, right? You're getting the armored look, you're getting the swords, you're getting the guns, which he doesn't really use in the movie either, right? Because he's Nice Pool after all. And then you get another version of the of Dogpool. And look, this is good. They're gonna milk this, right? I'm sure if we get other variants, we may get some other dog pools. He's already come with some of the other figures. I wouldn't say this is the last one we're going to see of him. But look, another simple, straightforward figure, right? Um, if you like the variants and if you like Nice Pool, I think that's who it's meant to appeal to. But you could definitely see the differences in the suit, and he somehow looks a little bit more buff in this version, than a little more built and jacked than the standard Deadpool. So this was a pretty exciting release as well. And I think the only question for me is, we know again, we just got Human Torch, we know we got Nice Pool. We have at least two additional pre-orders that I'm 100% expecting, which are or three, right? The Elektra, the Blade, and the Gambit. And then the question is just what else is Hot Toys going to do? Because I wouldn't count them out of anything at this point. Um, it's just, you know, let me catch up with you guys on the stream. Fabs, I said the same. I'm gonna get better at this, I swear, one day. Um, Venom is cool. Just too damn. I agree. I like that Venom. I think they did a great job with it. But just the scale and with all the other cinematic Venoms at this point, and then the comic book Venom that they're doing, which means there's probably going to be a comic book Carnage at some point, right? It's just I don't know if it's going to be how many Venoms can you possibly have, right? And space is a real constraint, right? That guy is giant. He's going to be a space killer. Um, is this real life? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I actually decided to do something crazy today. I don't know if it'll pan out, but we'll see. Um, yeah, I agree. I think they just have to fix him up. They have to fix him up. And then once we get that unmasked Deadpool, I just don't know what else they're gonna do, right? Because at this point it could be pretty much almost anything. Um, so I'm going through the comments. I was thinking it was yeah, usually I pre-record this stuff, right? I usually do a pre-recorded video, and then today I was like, I'm on my own, right? I don't have any chores to finish up. Uh, usually I joke around with Fabs just as a side, because he does his Saturday stream, and I think I joined it once when everybody was passed out. But usually I'm putting I'm reading stories to the kids and everything, so I usually end up passing out, and then I usually end up waking up. And sometimes I try not to join the stream because I end up blocking people, purely accidental. So yeah, I decided today it's kind of like no responsibilities other than having to wake up tomorrow for work. I said this guy's it's I swear, man, it was just I figured I'd try it. No guarantee this is gonna happen. If it does happen again, it's gonna be at the most random hour, which is probably when I'm recording this for Monday. So look for this to happen at 1 in the morning or something like that. Sean, Hot Toys Honda Odyssey. No, no, maybe. You know who we have to watch out for. If Nefty were ever on here, he'd be talking about how Jazz Inc. would be doing it. Look, yeah, that would be a little too much for me. Too much deep in the going deep. Faz has kept this receipt for future blackmail. No, I swear. Listen, I even texted him. I'm like, I'm about to try something. So let's see how this goes. So it was definitely not meant to be like a, you know, replacement for Fabs. We can't replace Fabs at all, right? And I'm still looking forward to joining his stream, especially after Brandon called me out last night. Unacceptable, not cool. I swear I'm gonna come after everything Star Wars now, just to mess with him. Um, but yeah, going back to this guy, awesome, right? I just listen. Even if it's not from Hot Toys, we're going to continue to get some of these releases, right? I think the variants were only at the start, right? We're going to get into Cassandra Nova too a little bit in this one because I definitely wanted to talk to her. I had all these banners ready for December 30th and everything, and then like I said, I got screwed with the flu and I ended up going down. But yeah, look, as a Marvel collector, these two were day one pre-orders, right? Um, and what a way to start the year though. Hot Toys isn't showing any signs of stopping, right? I know we're about to head into Chinese New Year and we're going to get a little bit of a lull, but when it comes to releases and when it comes to announcements, Hot Toys is just continuing to kill it, right? And they're not. This is not to throw shade at Inart or at Jazz Inc. or any of these other companies, but you know we're going to get into some Inart in a little bit, but um, Hot Toys is coming with actual prototypes and putting things up right for pre-order, right? They're not giving us this. Yeah, they're giving us some teases, but at the same time, they're not giving us these renders. They're coming with a product for us to order, right? And that's why Hot Toys is a company you cannot count out on anything, right? They've got the experience, they've got the longevity in this business, right? They're not the originators, but they've been around this forever and they've outlasted a lot of other competitors at this point and they've continued, right? They've gotten the licenses that they've gotten, right? They're killing us with all these announcements, right? There's no sign. I'm sure tonight, by tomorrow morning, we're going to be talking about another announcement, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised, right? And keeping with their announcements, um, and look, I joked around about this one a little bit that he was kind of boring, but I was only doing that to mess with a buddy of mine. But for you Star Wars fans, and even for me, Darth Malgus, like I've seen this figure before from Sideshow. I know nothing about the character. The way I've been collecting Star Wars, um, and I've been talking to a couple of you guys about this too. It I've just gravitated towards the Sith characters or the evil characters, so to speak. Um, so this guy was definitely something that I saw the Sideshow version, but I wasn't going to pay the amount of money for it. Here's the one thing I will say about Star Wars: in a world with so much stuff coming out, right? And we're going to get into some of the Marvel announcements too that Hot Toys had in terms of license acquisition. But in a world where you're getting so much, and then you're getting things from third party, which yeah, I have no issue saying that I like to buy third party figures because they're doing things that some other companies aren't, right? It's not like I'm picking them over Hot Toys. I'm picking them because they're doing things that nobody else is touching, right? Maybe rightfully so, but there's definitely an appeal there in terms of filling some voids. So which license is going to end up suffering? And for me, unfortunately, it's going to be Star Wars, just because, first of all, I truly appreciate all of you who collect Star Wars. TK 421, for example, he collects almost everything Star Wars. I know he's been picking up the Sideshow Cantina Aliens, right? I know Fabs picks up tons of Star Wars as well, right? Sean, I know you're a huge Trooper collector. Um, there's definitely an appeal for these figures, but it's just so much. Again, going back to my dream of winning the lottery and being able to afford all these, right? That's pretty much the only way I'm going to be able to afford all these. So something's going to have to give. Having said that, Darth Malgus is a very appealing figure, right? First of all, he looks massive. And then there's just something about I want to get into the sculpt because it's to a degree, it almost looks like a Darth Vader style sculpt, but the veins that he's got right projecting through it, the eyes with the Sith eyes, it just looks impressive. He's a big towering figure. He's a hulking figure. Um, but that sculpt is really the selling point. And this in particular, right? I mean, you got to give Hot Toys credit for the amount of detail that they're putting into this, right? From the vein work, right? The eyes, one thing that will set Hot Toys apart from every other company, right? And look, with one or two in our products in hand, I'll say they do a good job with the eyes too. But Hot Toys has been doing it forever. Um, is the eyes, right? The eyes are how Hot Toys gets us this realism on their sculpts, right? They do a bang up job on it, and the amount of detail that's going into this with the wrinkles on the forehead, around the eyes, around the lips, right? This guy looks menacing. This guy really does look menacing, and that's really appealing, right? Um, even the hood looks pretty awesome. Now, he's pretty much as tall as Darth Vader, and Darth Vader's not a small figure for those of you who have him in hand. So he's going to be pretty imposing. For me, I'm just. This is the one thing with Star Wars. I think I'm going to continue on with some of these dark side characters because more so than the Jedi. And look, the Jedi. It's not that I don't like Star Wars, but from a visual perspective, they're very bland, right? They're the brown robes. Um, at least the Sith have some more visual pop to them, and I know that's all part of the whole mythos and everything. But this guy looks pretty impressive. So while I joked about it a little bit, saying, I don't think he's necessarily going to be the best figure out there. That was just a joke. I think he looks pretty imposing, and again, Hot Toys did a great job, particularly with the sculpt. Now, the base, I think this rotating base that they're doing, I think they did it with the super battle damage Darth Vader 2 that's coming out, where you could rotate the base around. I think this is great. I like the red LEDs on the bottom that definitely give you that haunting look. This is a great figure, right? So right now, Hot Toys to start the year, 3 announcements and 3 figures that I really want to get, right? 2 that I already pre-ordered. The Marvel ones, I just can't pass on those. And then this Darth Malgus one is one I'm going to be keeping an eye on because he looks pretty cool. This might be one that I play a little bit of a game with to see if I can get him cheaper, but definitely awesome overall. Um, yeah, there's a lot coming out, right? When we look at these, there's a ton that's that's really you know out there. Like even the troopers, right? While I'm not a trooper collector at all, Hot Toys continues to announce these back and forth over and over and over again. So, um, you know, you be a completist? Even with Marvel, I'm finding myself that I cannot be a completist at this point, right? Especially with the Iron Man suits. You've got a lot of those limited Iron Man suits that keep coming out at this point that just um, I'd love to get them. They look amazing, but at some point, where do you draw the line? With so much out there, and for those of us that have the limited budget, that is something that is a bit of a concern. Now, Malgus was a dopo. For me, look, he would have been a day one if we didn't have some of the other figures coming out. So for me, I think I just have to play the game a little bit and see how this kind of turns out. But it's one that I'm going to be looking forward to because I think he turned out great. Um, Jimmy, hey Jimmy, how's it going? Thanks for joining. I appreciate you guys joining me for a little bit. Um, should be fun. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Darth Malgus. I feel like this year, and we're going to get into the kind of the news story as well, but I feel like this year more than any, Hot Toys is really going to end up continuing to kill our wallet, right? And not just, I felt like I got a little bit of a reprieve, to be honest, this last year with Marvel. I felt like I was catching up on a lot of figures that were announced back in 2023, but with Marvel kind of cutting back on their 2024 licenses, except for really what Agatha all along, which is actually a pretty decent show, but I haven't seen any figures from that, nor do I think we're necessarily going to get one. But you had that show, and then you had Deadpool and Wolverine. And Deadpool and Wolverine, clearly Hot Toys going all in. But again, for you Star Wars collectors, this is only the start, right? They're teasing other licenses, the Revenge of the Sith anniversary as well. So there's definitely more to come at this point. So let's see. Moving along, what else do we have? Let's see. As far as announcements, I'm going to get into some of my favorite third-party announcements here. And keeping in with Marvel, um, Cassandra Nova. All right, I don't know ADD toys. I've collected a ton of things, right? I've collected Fishbone toys, Toys Era, Toys Battalion. Um, for those of you in the chat, help me out. But I've collected a ton of these. I'm trying to think. Fishbone, I promised myself I'd never buy from again. I just was not impressed with them. Obviously, So Toys keeps on doing stuff. Although I got to be honest. Not that I'm disappointed because they've been releasing some good things, but they're just taking forever to release some stuff. And they had teased products years ago, right? For example, the Watchmen line, they teased a ton. They teased that they were going to do some X-Men, more X-Men figures that were going to go along with the Rogue that they did in the Gambit, and not a peep sense, right? Even Toys Era had was it Toys R Us? Sorry, Present Toys had come in and said they were going to do a bunch of other figures, and they released like a teaser image, and we haven't seen anything come out of that. I don't know if they were scared away by Hono, and Hot Toys kind of leaning more heavily into that comic based look for the characters. But the reason I'm bringing this is So is disappointing me for other reasons at this point. But in terms of quality, they tend to be probably the top of the line when it comes to third party, followed probably by Toys Era, who was really improving, although they've pretty much fallen off the face of the map at this point of the earth. Right, they've teased tons of figures that we haven't gotten yet. Right, I'm still waiting for the Ellie from The Last of Us, the HBO show. They had the bad guy from the Justice League from the Snyder cut, not Darkseid, but his minion, that the primary villain, right? The version that would look pretty cool. They teased that over 2 years ago, and at this point, there hasn't been a peep at all about it, right? I've been trying to keep up to speed with it, but basically, third party is third party. These companies come and go, right? Unfortunately, there's no rhyme or reason to them, so you are taking a chance. So I'm not sure about ADD toys. I haven't really seen them before, but look, they're doing Cassandra Nova. So where do we start? First question I ask myself is, do I think Hot Toys is going to make her? I don't think so. Right. And look, why did I think they were going to do Chris Evans, and why don't I think they were going to do Cassandra Nova? Chris Evans, or Human Torch, was Chris Evans, right? And they have a ton of experience with Chris Evans. Got a huge loud pop, right, in the movie theaters. So I don't think you can put Cassandra Nova in the same category as those other characters we're getting. Blade, Gambit, even Elektra, right? They got more of a pop than Cassandra. Now, was she a great villain? I thought she did a good job. Is she a figure that I think Hot Toys is going to necessarily make? I don't think so. And that's what makes this character from a third-party company very appealing, given how deep in the line Hot Toys is going, right? So this is where third-party really steps in a little bit. And this has always been kind of my justification for some of these third-party figures, is it helps to fill in that line. Just like, was it Flashpoint or Thunder Toys? But somebody that third-party cowboy variant, right, is going to fit in really well with that line. This Cassandra Nova as well, right? Now, tailoring looks good, right? It looks screen accurate. The jacket looks awesome. The belt, very simple figure. Now, the big elephant in the room is the sculpt. There's something off about it, as there often is with third party. The eyes look decent, maybe a little. They don't look like the Hot Toys eyes, but almost like the proportions of the sculpt itself are a little bit off. Now she did look like she had a bit of a bigger head in in the movie. As Xavier's twin sister. I think the eyes might be a little too big, and maybe that's what's throwing off the sculpt. That is third party for you, right? We complain about Hot Toys and their accuracy sometimes. Well, third party, you get what you get, right? You get what you get, and you don't get upset. So that's the one thing. If you're going into this, you always have to take what you're seeing with a grain of salt. And then the question is, will the figure even be as good as the prototype? Because sometimes Fishbone Toys, for example, you see a serious downgrade. So for me, this is one of those figures where, did I pre-order it? Yes. Do I think Hot Toys is going to make it? No. Could I be wrong? 100%, because Hot Toys, you never know. They've surprised us before. Will they surprise us again with this one? I don't think so. So that's where again, I think I made the decision that I think this is going to be a great companion piece to those Deadpool figures. It's not an essential figure by any means, right? If you're going to get Deadpool and Wolverine, I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine are the essential guys. But with how deep Hot Toys is going, right, this is a great figure. And we don't get villains all the time, right? Um, you might argue she wasn't necessarily the best villain, but sometimes we don't get, you know, we don't get the bad guy. So anytime there's an opportunity to pick up a bad guy, I'm gonna jump at it. So um, I don't know what you guys think about this one. I don't know if you guys think it's worth it or if it's one of those figures that, it's unnecessary. Question becomes like who asked for it? Well, I don't know that anybody necessarily asked for it, but but it's there, right? It's definitely something that I think I think fills a gap and fulfills a bit of a void here. So, um, let's see what other announcements, and I'm going to bore you with. So those were the exciting ones. Obviously, Hot Toys killing it. Third party coming in a little bit here and there. Let's see what else we got. There's more to discuss. I'm taking it slow, and if my voice starts going a little bit, I'll probably end it. But let's see. Yeah, I didn't even talk about Captain Jack, which we'll talk about a little bit. But um, yeah, let's stick with third party. All right. The mastermind from Toys Battalion, which I think is Toys Era. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the stand looks a little bit different. I think all these companies have different offshoots. Um, I forget the actor's name. He's been in a ton of movies. He was Bull in um, Band of Brothers. Awesome, awesome show, right? An awesome character, based on a real life, member of that army unit. Um, so we've seen him there. He was in I forget what the cop show was. Um, we've seen him in a ton of things, right? He's a working actor. He was the latest Lex Luthor in the what was it, the Superman and Lois show, which I haven't watched. I watched the first few episodes. It was decent. It's a CW show, so listen, if you like the Flash, if you like those movies, I think it's pretty much on par. But from everything I've heard, it's actually a pretty good rendition of Superman. So, um, sorry, my voice is still going a little bit, so I'm gonna drink a little water. But so we're getting a Lex Luthor. Now, I forget who did it. Premier Toys did a Bizarro, and they already did that version of Superman as well. So this would be a companion piece to it. Look, you're not getting much. It's a guy in a suit. Sculpt isn't perfect, right? But it's not bad. There's a lot of detail there. But this is more if you're a fan of that version of Lex Luthor. I do think in some of the shots the suit does look a little bit baggy. It doesn't look like what we've gotten from Hot Toys. So this is definitely, it looks a little oversized, to be honest. So the tailoring is not great. This is something that's going to appeal 100% to people that are fans of the show and of this version of Lex Luthor. Now, I do think Lex Luthor in the show ends up wearing an armored suit. That would definitely be a much more appealing figure. But look, if you have those Superman figures, and if you're a fan of the show, which I have to catch up on, somebody's making these figures out there, so you're still getting it. I am surprised that these companies are definitely focusing on some of these CW properties, and I think you can't ever count third party out, right? Third party will give you figures from movies that are like 5 years old or even older without surprise. But look, third party's still alive and still doing what third party does at this point. Sorry. So my voice is definitely starting to go a little bit, but we'll keep going for a little bit. And then which last one did? We have two more. Let me go with this one because I love this company. So Damn Toys, Ghost in the Shell. My understanding, I did a little research on this. Ghost in the Shell is an awesome anime, right? I watched the original version with the Major character, and then I know there have been a bunch of other renditions, including the live action cinematic with Scarlett Johansson, which caught a ton of flack because it was Scarlett Johansson. I watched that one. I thought it was okay. Look, I'll be honest. I liked Ghost in the Shell. I wasn't as enamored with it as many people were. But I understand the appeal, right? So now what we're getting here is Batu, and I forget his role in the show, or in the animated feature, but Damn Toys is continuing on with the line, right? When I tell you Damn Toys is awesome, this is what I mean, right? They are a company that could very much compete with Hot Toys if they wanted to, but they don't want to, right? They chose to pursue their own licenses and carve their own little, you know, their own little section of the collecting world. And they're doing their own things, right? They're doing those Resident Evil figures. They took over the license. Um, they're a little slow, but they've been doing awesome things with them. They've been doing military, continues to be their forte, right? They do their original military figures too from whatever this made up universe is. I've gotten some of those. They are some of the most impressive figures. The bodies that they use, I think, are custom made. I don't think they're off the shelf buying like from any of these other companies. So if you do end up getting a Damn Toys product, you will not be disappointed because Damn Toys is very impressive. Um, there were 3 figures that they made that I unfortunately, again, because you can't get everything, right? It was from a movie called The Wandering Earth, and it was a set of 3 Chinese soldiers in these space suits, right? Very cool. These exosuits. They included one that had a minigun that was mounted to the side, right? So visually very appealing. I did watch the movie. It was on Netflix. It was okay, right? It's very wacky. It's very bizarre, right? Basically, um, humanity's trying to move Earth right away from a dying sun. So they're getting it moving Earth as a planet. So again, bizarre, but the figures look cool. So I bring all this up because Damn Toys continues to go after licenses, right? They did those 2 Monster Hunter figures, which I'm still keeping an eye on, right? They're on waitlist at Sideshow, but you can definitely get them from other um, retailers. But Damn Toys does very interesting things. So this guy, very simple figure, right? I mean, look, that very animated look of the sculpt with those are they robotic eyes or mechanical eyes? But with those unique eyes. But as far as overall look, I mean, he's got a t-shirt, he's got a vest, and he's got some pants and some combat boots. So very simple. He does have some alternate looks, and I actually do like that he has that tactical vest, and then he's got that rifle. Um, look, this looks pretty awesome, and I think this would be a great companion piece if you're looking to get the major. I haven't decided if I'm going to get these two, um, but I may try to. And again, it's something that's going to stand out. It's a little bit different, right? This falls into that category of I'd love to have them. I don't know yet if I will get them. Who else is going to make something like this? Right? That's the thing, right? Who else is going to make something like this? But something would have to give because these aren't cheap figures, right? If you go on these are comparable to Hot Toys pricing. And they're licensed, which fine, but you're not getting much in terms of accessories. So one, you'd have to like the license, I think, more than anything. But these accessories, look, the weaponry that you get from Damn Toys has to be some of the best as well that you're going to get in the market. So very, very cool overall. Um, and again, just if you're going to get the major, that's where things pretty much stand out. Now, the last one I'm going to share with you, just really quickly, because I always like to cover Star Trek, even though nobody else really likes it. I know this is a very niche category. You're getting Wesley Crusher from Star Trek: The Next Generation. Frankly, for me, this is a pass. I hated the character. I hated the character. I hated Wesley Crusher on the show. I don't know what the appeal was of having him be on, but he just no. No. Look, I appreciate that XO6 is going that deep in the line and they're giving you all these tertiary I don't know even know if he's a tertiary character. He's definitely not a secondary. And they got rid of him after a couple of seasons. He was terrible. Right? And when you look at the details on this suit, right? It's very bland. Um Look, most of these are simple uniforms as well, but his in particular, I mean, there's just no appeal there for me. But if you are a Star Trek The Next Generation fan and are looking to complete your line and are very much hardcore and want to get Wesley Crusher, somebody decided to make a Wesley Crusher figure. For me, again, easy pass. There's way too much better than this. or there are way too many better characters out at this point, right? Than Wesley Crusher. So, um, that's pretty much it for announcements. So let's see. Am I missing something? Am I missing something? Uh, we talked about Malgus. We talked about Nightpool. We talked about Human Torch. We talked about Venom, Bat Fleck with the Bat Cycle, which is very awesome. Modern Suit Batman, Supergirl. All right, so let's get. You know what? Let's get into news, and I'm going to start with the fun stuff from DID. I love DID. DID military company, right? They do a lot of military, primarily World War II. Although they have started to get into some more, some different eras, right? They did that "We Were Soldiers" figure, that Mel Gibson from that great movie, the Vietnam era. They did the John Dunbar from Dances with Wolves from the Civil War era. We also got the, what is it, the Napoleon from that movie, Napoleon with I forget the guy from Gladiator. Um, I almost said Jay Leno, but it's not Jay Leno. But they've done a lot of great figures, right? And we got Maverick from Top Gun Maverick. So teaser that they just dropped, they dropped a couple of days ago, is this leather jacket. So I don't know what it means yet. Obviously, we're getting another Maverick. That's one thing, right? We've gotten a ton of these versions of Mavericks from third-party companies, right? This jacket with the white T-shirt look, that we've gotten it. Question is now, what is DID doing, right? Is DID going to do another version of Maverick from Top Gun Maverick, or are they basically teasing that we're going to get a figure from the original Top Gun? Because if they're going to do this original Top Gun, I will probably take DID over any other company any day of the week, because they're probably going to they're going to do a great job with the military kit, right? Because that's their forte. All right, and the tailoring is going to be exceptional, and the sculpts aren't that bad, right? The sculpt that they gave us from Top Gun Maverick was actually pretty decent. It's a pretty good Tom Cruise likeness, so I'm very excited for this. So as far as news stories, nothing more, but we are getting this jacket with the very specific, patches and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to see what DID is going to do with this, and to get another Maverick at that point. Um, thanks, thank you for that. I think I'll go for a little bit longer. But yeah, voice is still good. Voice is still just a little. This flu, man, this was rough. My voice hasn't come back 100%. But today's been worth a little bit of a try. All right, so going back to news, let's see. So that was DID, right? Very quickly, just keeping in line, right? I think all of you have probably seen this already, right? But this is the Blade teaser from Deadpool and Wolverine. It's Blade, it's Wesley Snipes, right? I mean, look, I think Mahershala Ali, if they even make that movie at this point, right? The new Blade that's been teased for years, if they even were to make that movie, how do you top Wesley Snipes? I just don't know that you can. Right? So they would have to have a killer story. And the fact that it's taking this long to come out, like Blade says in this movie, right? There's ever only been one Blade. There's only going to ever be one Blade, right? He may not be wrong. Although actually there was, who was it? There was a TV show Blade with who played his character? Sticky Fingers, I think, a rapper. Only played for one season, not the greatest. Right, but they had Abraham Whistler, they had everything, right? They had an interesting vampire story as well. Like Blade has an undercover vampire, so there has been another Blade actually, but again, nowhere near as good as what Wesley Snipes did. Now, suit looks pretty straightforward, right, from the movie, right? He's not wearing his typical trench coat, right? You get the tattoos. It's all going to come down to sculpt. Again, all these figures are going to be pretty simple. I do think it's interesting that he comes with the machete as opposed to the sword. It was an interesting approach. Look, I'm excited to get another Blade, period. And it's different from the previous Blades we've got. It's different from the So Toys Blade that is currently out in pre-order, which again, So Toys, when are we going to get it, right? But look, Hot Toys is going deep in that line. There's just definitely no denying that at this point. Yeah, the Blade Deadpool, and again, even though we already got the Premier Toys Gambit, I'm pretty sure we're gonna end up getting this other Blade at this point. Um, and now, what other news story do we talk about? Just because my voice is going, I'm gonna end this with um, Fabs is probably not on anymore, but his favorite topic, which is in art. Um, and this is where I get into things, first of all. So, first, we have seen these three prototypes of The Walking Dead for starters, right? Um, Look, my issue with this, and this is why I mentioned it at the start, Hot Toys hits you with prototypes. They hit you with some teaser images like that blade, but even that blade, you can see the figure in it. Um, so that's very appealing, right? From that Arcane show, they also hit you with an image of an actual figure, like ghosted, and you can't see the particular details, but it's there. Now, these are mock-ups, right? These are marketing mock-ups that we're getting. Now, we saw the prototypes of the figures, and the three of them look good, right? Rick, Daryl, and Negan. I myself stopped watching this right around, I forget if it was season 4 or 5, but right around when they make it to the prison and the governor. So I didn't even make it to Negan. And I know that a lot of stuff goes down with Negan, with Maggie, and all of them. And now you've got like, right, Daryl's in Paris. Maggie and Negan are working together in New York. I know Rick is somewhere as well. We're getting all these offshoots. So The Walking Dead is not done. Um, I have to catch up to it, but there's just so much else. Like I'm just literally catching up on Squid Game season 2. So, who knows when I'll be able to go back and revisit The Walking Dead. Now, as far as figures, look, these are all rooted. We saw them. As far as the accessories, he's coming with the AK, the revolver, and axe, a bunch of other, knives and blades. Negan comes with the bat, obviously a gun, and Daryl comes with the bow and the crossbow. They're not very accessory heavy figures, but InArt's not cheap, right? InArt's going to charge you a shit ton of money for these things. So right there alone, let's assume each one is in the $500 to $600 range, right? That's what $1,800. It's $2,000 for these three figures, and then we'll see how much deeper they continue to go. So it's a huge commitment at this point, right? It's a huge commitment. But look, pretty interesting, nevertheless. Uh, and at least InArt showing some signs of life. Now, this one got me excited, and I'm probably the only one, right? So you got from Harry Potter, you got Draco Malfoy, and you got Snape. Snape, they showed the teaser for, so we've seen a prototype of Snape, so that's good. Malfoy, we haven't seen a prototype at all. This is going to be pretty much. This is again a mock-up, so we at least know they're going to do a standard edition. They're going to do a deluxe with the rooted hair, probably. What does he come with? The Slytherin scarf, the same poncho that we've gotten now with the other figures. A couch. All right, that's not bad. You can have him sitting down. I think this is a dog. I don't know if this is Fang, which would have made maybe more sense with Hagrid at that point. And then you're getting a couple of other accessories, including the sorting hat. They're including the sorting hat with everything at this point, because Ron, Harry, and Hermione have it. So, do you need a fourth one? Yeah, I'm not sure about that. You're getting a lantern, some gloved hands. This is fine, right? I'm definitely going to pick this guy up. He goes well with the collection. Now, as far as Snape, it's interesting because they're giving him the Patronus charm, which isn't from the first movie, so they're kind of cheating and going ahead a little bit. Comes with the wand, a couple of books, hands, and then he comes with a bunch of potion accessories. This is pretty awesome. This is pretty cool, and it goes well with Snape. You need a table to display this, though. It's way too many accessories. And then what I'm surprised not that we're not seeing here is the Dumbledore that they teased. At least at this point, it's over a year ago. Now they're going deeper in the line than I thought they were even going to go. So I do think that Dumbledore is still coming, I hope. But see, this is the line again, right? These are not going to be cheap figures. So it's another hit for the wallet at that point. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's see. So these are the ones that have me the most excited because I like the license, right? It's not that I'm crazy about InArt. I think the prices are ridiculous. Um, I mean, only company that has more ridiculous prices at this point is J&D, and those guys are just out of their mind with how much they're charging for their stuff. Um, but yeah, listen, as a fan of this Harry Potter series, I'm definitely excited about these. Wonder Woman again, right? It's a mock-up. Let me see the prototype. Um, we've gotten a bunch of them already. I think Hot Toys has knocked it out of the park a couple of times. Although some people say there's room for improvement, which maybe there is. Look, I'm not going to knock it, but you know, we'll wait and see. Within art, it's just like they're so late to the game with a lot of these, but I'm sure there's a demand for these characters, right? Even Batman. Look, what are you getting here? You're getting the Ben Affleck sculpt. You're getting some of the accessories, some of the weaponry he has. Not a very heavily loaded version, and I'll be honest, I'm curious how it compares to the Batman 2.0 that's currently up for pre-order. And that's one that I'm gonna think about getting. I haven't ordered it yet, but the Hot Toys version, right? Hot Toys version includes a diorama piece. I mean, it includes an unmasked sculpt. Is it rooted hair? No, it's not. But look, this is going to be again looking at the in our prices, it's going to be over 500. It's going to be almost $600 probably. I could be wrong, but it's going to be that much. And for that cost, is it going to be that much better than the Hot Toys 2.0, especially seeing how Hot Toys is killing it lately? I don't know. Right. And this might be just a tale of a little too late. Although look, InArt has their hardcore fans. We know that there are people that are going to love this stuff. So this one is more interesting too. This was one that they showed the prototypes. People did not like the prototype at all. I remember there was a there was an outcry, um, but it made sense. It was just an early prototype. But you're getting the Superman and you're getting the Clark Kent. Now I have the original Hot Toys version, which had the Fortress of Solitude background as well, the diorama, which is pretty nice. Um, this looks good. It looks okay, right? It's again a mock-up, right? We're not seeing an actual figure. The one that's appealing here is the Clark Kent, um, because it's just a great companion piece to that Superman. So this one, I'm curious to see how it turns out. Um, Not a knock on the Hot Toys one because it was great and it's still great, but it is an older figure, right? And I think this is one of those cases where just like the Joker, when you look at the newer version comparing it to the older one, um, it's gonna be, with the advances in technology at this point, the new one should be better, right? If it's not, that's a problem. But this one, I'm very excited to see what InArt does with this one, just because it is that classic Christopher Reeves, and we haven't gotten the Clark Kent version of that Chris Reeves Superman. So I think that'll be interesting. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's the InArt stuff, and we'll take a look at that. So look, as far as the channel, again, I've just been under the weather. I did get a couple of new releases, including that InArt Ron. I got Ladypool. Fab sent me a figure. We traded for a figure last December or in December that I haven't reviewed, but I'll be doing a review. And I got the Exo 6 Jean-Luc Picard. That one I'm pretty excited about. I've got the Ghost coming in, right? I think she should be arriving this week. The biggest thing I've got coming in Maja cases finally shipped. Maja cases, I finally got them. Or, well, I'll have them in hand Wednesday. So it's supposed to be 16 or 18 boxes coming my way. From order to delivery, that was about a year and 2 months. No, a year and 4 months at this point. So yeah, they promised it was going to be like a 6 month, 6 to 8 month wait. So it was 6 months. It was 8 months to when they shipped it. Then it was at sea for like 2 months, and then it was in their California um, warehouse for like 2 months as well. Does that even make sense? So it was probably longer, but yeah. So we'll see if it's worth the wait. So hopefully at some point this year I'll do my first collection tour. Now that I'll be able to actually display it, because the only person that's seen my basement, the pictures of how I have everything, and I'm basically living like a hoarder with all the boxes at this point, right? Is Fabs from Fabs Figures. So it'll be nice to finally be able to display all these figures the way I really want to. But of course, I made a mistake and I only ordered half of the cases because, well, it wasn't a mistake. I thought I was going to display things a certain way, and then I realized I could do it another way. So it'll be another 16 months until I get the rest of them. But yeah, more figures coming in. And like I said, with all the releases we're getting as far as invoices, look, I'm waiting for that Supergirl to drop. I'm waiting for John Wick. Um, let me tell you the list of figures that I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for Supergirl. I'm waiting for John Wick. I'm waiting for the Modern Suit Batman. Right. Um, I'm hoping to get that Batfleck and Bat Cycle figure. Um, let's see what else. Oh, Limb Toys, right? That Nathan Drake looked great that they just dropped from the Uncharted series. So that's coming up, right? I still have the 3-0 order for the T60 armor from Fallout. That one's waiting to be invoiced. It's been released. The 3-0 Hopper from Stranger Things got released. Um, I'm supposed to be getting a gift from some family member. So you guys will like this. It was either going to be not it was either going to be Revan or it was going to be this the Sand Trooper Sergeant with the dewback. Yeah, I don't think it's that one. I don't think anybody got me that $700 figure. I wish, but I don't think anybody got me that. So I'm thinking it's Revan more than likely. So at some point that should be coming my way, or I should be surprised, or maybe I won't be. Who knows? Maybe it'll be the dewback, which then I have to worry about where I'm going to put that thing. But yeah, contrary to how I joke around, sometimes I do still enjoy some Star Wars. So yeah, there's a ton coming. It's going to be a crazy year. And look, oh, actually, yeah, there was one last thing I wanted to go over, before my voice goes right, and it's a video clip. So we'll put this in the background and hopefully it's muted, but we'll stop it at each license. So Hot Toys announced their licenses. So look, Japan 2025. Who was the Galen, I think. Jin Urso's father was announced as a figure that we should expect from this. So for you Star Wars fans, we're not done with Rogue One, right? And then look, Cassian Andor, we're supposed to be getting Andor season 2. It would be shocking to me if we don't get a Cassian Andor figure at some point, whether it's from Rogue One or whether it's from the actual show. That's the figure that's missing from the Rogue One collection, right? You've him and Baze, right? So with the fact that we're going back and getting some other figures from Rogue One now, right? Galen, and that we've gotten some figures from Solo. I wouldn't be surprised if those drop. So for all you Star Wars fans, and look, even for me, it would be very hard to pass on a Cassian Andor. And then with who was it? The Moon Knight guy, Oscar Isaac, with his sculpt now finally making it. Right, Hot Toys had that teaser image of Poe Dameron in the Rogue, not in the Rogue, in the X-Wing uniform. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up finally getting a Poe Dameron, especially now that Hot Toys killed it with that Oscar Isaac sculpt from Moon Knight. What's stopping them at this point, right? And similar to what they did with the Human Torch, where we ended up getting a Chris Evans sculpt, right? Basically used for another character. It's Disney, right? Disney owns Marvel, they own Star Wars. Hot Toys has been killing with the Star Wars license. It's a no-brainer to me. So I would expect at some point this year, you're going to end up getting a Poe Dameron. There's just no reason not to. Again, for you Star Wars fans, Revenge of the Sith. So what can we get from Revenge of the Sith? What is a figure that people have been asking for? Look, the Dark Side Anakin, right? Artisan version. I wouldn't put that out of the realm of possibility at this point. It'd be very easy, especially since we're already getting an Anakin Artisan, right? So I think there's a ton of possibility there to potentially get some of these figures as well. And then let's see. So what else? Darth Vader, battle damaged Anakin, maybe, right? Another Obi-Wan Kenobi, maybe an Artisan Obi-Wan Kenobi at that. There are a couple of characters we can get. So I'm curious where Revenge of the Sith is going to go. Captain America, Brave New World. We've talked about this ad nauseum at this point. So the Red Hulk, I think, is 100% coming, and obviously you're going to get a Captain America. There's no doubt in my mind. I think you're going to get 2 Captain Americas, right? You get one with the white suit with the helmet, and then he's got the blue suit that he uses apparently towards the end of the movie. So definitely at least those three. And then as far as a fourth figure, I would not be surprised to get the new Falcon, right? Just like from Winter Soldier, we ended up getting um, Sam Wilson as the Falcon. I would not be surprised to get the new Falcon from this movie. As far as other characters, I think it's going to depend on how well the movie does. Um, and look, I have high hopes for it. Are they slightly misplaced? Hopefully not. But I think that's definitely coming our way. So I think you've got a couple Fantastic Four easily. Listen, you're going to get four figures from that off the bat, right? You're going to get Mr. Fantastic. Oh my God. Invisible Woman, right? Sue Storm, sorry. You get Johnny Storm, right? The new Human Torch, and you're gonna get the Thing, Ben Grimes. Then, if rumors are to be believed, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the first time we get Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom, right? It just makes sense that if he does show up, Hot Toys is not going to pass up on giving us that figure from his cameo. And then if the rumor is also to be true that you're going to get some kind of Silver Surfer or Herald of Galactus, the possibilities are endless, right? So at the very least, we're going to get four figures, right? I hope. I hope Hot Toys gives us the entire Fantastic Four because it would be a problem if they don't, right? So Ben Grimes, the Thing is going to be a massive figure, right? And then you're going to get, you're going to get the other three characters. Well, question is, if the movie's a success, I could see other figures being made from this, right? Without a doubt. And the next thing they're teasing is, again, not surprising, Thunderbolts. Um, this is actually getting a lot of good buzz, which I'm surprised. I think at first I was more excited about Captain America, and then as the trailers have continued to come out, I think Thunderbolts is definitely looking pretty impressive. Again, if the movie is as big of a hit as it should be, or as it may be, and it's as good as it should be, um, sky's the limit on the type of figures we're going to get from this, right? And the number of figures. So that's pretty awesome. Toy Story, I mean, those could be Cause Babies, Lilo and Stitch, same thing. 90 Years DC. Look, we've already seen that they're doing comic book characters, right? They're doing the Dark Knight. Um, are we going to continue getting some of those? I wouldn't be surprised. So there's a possibility there. So tons of new licenses that we're getting from Hot Toys. So definitely very interesting right there. And then Joker J, look at you, man. But yeah, going back to this, very interesting, right? You can kind of start seeing my dilemma here with all these licenses, right? And we're not talking about Lilo and Stitch or DC or any of these, right? We're talking in particular about their Marvel licenses, which is my strong thing. Deadpool and Wolverine isn't stopping, right? We've got more that's yet to come, right? Figures that have been teased that are going to drop for pre-order. Captain America, Brave New World. You've got Fantastic Four from the movie perspective. You got Thunderbolts. That's a ton of Marvel movies right there. And then you got TV shows, and we can't forget that we're getting Daredevil, right? Born Again now, right? That's going to be a massive, massive undertaking at this point. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get more Daredevil figures, our first Wilson Fisk figure. There are other characters. I think that's going to be a huge hit of a show. Another Punisher, right? Rumors now are that Elektra is going to come back, played by same actress that played her on the Netflix show. So listen, there's endless possibilities there. You also have Ironheart coming out. Not sure how that show is going to turn out, but it's been done for a while. Armored figures are Hot Toys' strong suit, right? We've seen that with the Iron Man figures. So then the question almost becomes, is Hot Toys going to pass on that? I was expecting an Ironheart from Wakanda Forever. Surprised that we only got one figure from that movie. I mean, it almost hit the $1 billion mark. So it was a success for all intents and purposes. But look, Marvel is going to be killing us. Star Wars, you're not stopping with Star Wars at this point, right? Even with the anniversary versions, going back to Rogue One, going back to Cassian Andor, going back to Solo, right? We're getting figures from Solo, so maybe not surprising if we get more figures from that at this point. So there's really a ton out there, and that's not even including all the stuff we're seeing from InArt, that they're teasing. Who knows what they're going to put up, right? And then you've got all these other companies. Blitzway. Blitzway is teasing new Ghostbuster figures. We saw the prototypes. I can't wait for those to go up for pre-order. It's a great opportunity for those of us that missed out on the originals. Um, right, they've got the DeLorean. I can't wait to see what they're doing with the DeLorean at this point. That's probably one of the most exciting announcements I think I'm anticipating. So there's just a ton coming out. So something's going to end up having to give. But you could see kind of, as collectors, sometimes it's good to look forward a little bit and kind of start trying to anticipate what's to come. And when you see Hot Toys drop all these announcements, right? And you have to remember, these are just the ones they're telling us about, right? Just like figures, just like they teased the 4 figures from Deadpool and Wolverine, right? The Rebels. And then they dropped Human Torch, right? They hadn't even teased him at this point, right? They hadn't even teased Nicepool. They teased battle damaged, Deadpool 2.0 with the exposed sculpt, right? When you see all of that, Hot Toys has a ton of stuff basically, under their belt that they're waiting to just drop that they haven't even teased us in. So just because we're getting these licenses, there's more coming, right? So that's part of the interesting collecting business at this point, right? That we're all a part of. So look, I'm going to end it here. My voice is starting to go and I have to be up early for a presentation tomorrow. So, but I did want to do this. So, am I going to go live again? Who knows? If I do, it's going to be at some random time. So, it'll be just for fun. Right. And then hopefully you'll see me streaming, on Tuesday again soon. Once all this craziness of being done with the flu and with work stuff is done. But look, thanks for those of you that stopped by and commented. Thanks. It was kind of fun doing this for the first time ever. And we'll see. It was just kind of let me wing it kind of thing. So look for more content to come in, tons of more figures coming in. The Majike stuff is kind of exciting. And yeah, we'll touch base hopefully next week on the next video. I don't know if it'll be live, but hopefully you'll see some stuff coming in. So thanks again, guys, and have a good night.